and, I took advantage of that too. And being on that leadership team, taught me so much. It's such a big company, but at the same time, there's shared experiences and learnings that you just, you can't get anywhere else. It's the biggest, in our industry. So starting in Janssen, the pharmaceutical companies of J&J, moving into med tech with Johnson and Johnson, experiencing things like supply chain and finance and the deal team to buy AMO. I just have been that guy who, I've worked hard, of course. Anybody that knows me, they'll say that that's sort of a thing that I do well. But at the same time, I've been also put in positions where learning was a million miles an hour, and good view to the top. So learn from some great mentors and decision makers in our business.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about Samsara Vision's flagship product, the Seeing IMT, and its potential impact on late stage macular degeneration.
Yeah, when I first met the scientists, or the R&D team developing this asset, I was impressed with a few things. And being in eye care, the thing that I know that is most challenging to get right in an implant is the optic. So the center of the device that's implanted into the eye has a technology that bends light or changes light as it enters the eye, and that part is hard to get right. And this company developed a true Galilean telescope, so it's a glass optic that's placed into the capsular bag during a cataract surgery, just like an intraocular lens. And then that telescope can magnify light 2.7 times and hit the right photoreceptors that create a parafoveal reception of the new image that leads a macular degeneration patient to be able to process a central image again. So I know that's technical, but basically what it does is someone who cannot see a face when they're talking to somebody, the telescopic optic projects the light a little bit larger and reduces the size of the blind spot that the patient sees, and then the surgery eye is able to see the patient's face again. So the implant is done in one eye, and then the other eye is left alone, or is treated for cataract surgery with an intraocular lens, and the patient uses that eye for peripheral vision. So, and then the patient is trained to learn how to use both eyes in stereo. So they have a monovision. It's a monovision concept. We sort of say a mega monovision concept. So patients can get a central image back, but use the fellow eye for peripheral to scan their environment. So I learned about this and heard it from some of the innovators, the inventors. They had a first generation technology that was not optimally designed for surgical delivery, but featured an optic that brought 3.6 lines of vision back on average. And again, the eye chart behind me is a good illustration. Our patients usually start being able to see only the top line on an eye chart. And then after surgery, they can see 4 lines deeper. Many patients can see 5 lines deeper. We recently reported on 6-month results where 29% of patients reported the ability to read preoperatively, and 97% of patients could read postoperatively. So I learned early when I was introduced to the technology that the optics work. The company had a flawed surgical procedure. They had some ideas around fixing that. But they also had, and on the business side of things, they had secured CMS reimbursement at a very high level that allowed for an average selling price for the device to be in the $13,000 to $14,000 range. And for reference, an intraocular lens in cataract surgery is about $100, and the maybe a premium IOL that's cash pay, patient pay, is around $1,000 for the company. So this being so high up there between $13,000 and $15,000, it had a great reimbursement for a targeted population, a specialty population. But the one thing they had to fix was the surgical procedure. And strategically, I thought that they lacked a strategy for Europe, which has the largest number of macular degeneration patients in the world. So I gave them some feedback, and but I fell in love with the idea that and the patient group that I had experience with at J&J was such a needy population. There was nothing that they could do, and in the drug world that I was in, if you had a drug that could bring 3 to 4 lines of vision back to this patient population, you had a blockbuster. So here you had a surgical device that could get that kind of return for patients with a good reimbursement story, a good patient benefit story, but it lacked that ease of surgical implantation. So I gave them that feedback, and when I joined the company, they had already developed what is now the Sing IMT, or the smaller incision, new generation implantable miniature telescope, which we've solved the issues around the surgical implantation, and now a 25-minute procedure that is almost identical to a cataract surgery that's performed. It's the most commonly performed surgical procedure around the world. Now, an AMD patient can benefit from getting 3 to 4 lines of vision back with a simple surgical procedure and postoperative rehabilitation that teaches them how to use the new vision. It's remarkable. And now we've done nearly 500 patients around the world, and we're reproducing that 3 to 4 lines of vision return, predictably, with an easier surgical procedure that's leading to a lower degree of surgical trauma that the patient experiences and the surgeon can appreciate. And it's a good story, and our patients are happy. And like I said, we're seeing those reading benefits, and it all comes from a good R&D team answering a problem originally, and then refining that solution to be easily implanted by the surgeon.
Well, thank you for sharing that. How do you see Samsara's visions contributing to the broader landscape of ophthalmic devices and treatments in the future?
Yeah, it's an unmet medical need. So for patients with late stage AMD, our patients are generally between 67 and 85 years of age. They have had, they maybe some of them, half of them have not had a cataract surgery before. Today, without the Sing IMT in the market, they would get a standard monofocal IOL, or perhaps a toric IOL, but it would not address their central vision loss. And patients are told this going into surgery. The surgeons will say, your world will be a little bit brighter. Maybe you'll see colors a little bit better. But the patient, and I think surgeons would tell you this, they don't hear that. They hear, my cousin had cataract surgery and then they could see again. And I want to see again. So I want cataract surgery. But the ARIDS publication, one of the largest studies ever on aging eyes, showed that patients with late stage AMD only experience 1.9 letters, so one half of one line improvement after cataract surgery. So it's a group that is underserved, and there's not a huge answer. And today we have two companies in the United States with complement inhibitor drugs that might slow the progression of geographic atrophy, but it does not address the patients who have come over to that area of 2100 or worse. In Europe, our label is for 2080 or worse. In the US, 2160 in clinical trial or worse. So our patients are there. They don't have any other solutions. And here we are, and we can improve that vision. Now, we're currently commercially available in Europe and CE reference countries for patients that have not had a previous cataract surgery. In the United States, we're in clinical trial for patients who have not had a previous cataract surgery. And in Europe, we're about to embark on a clinical trial and a label expansion to patients who have had previous cataract surgery, where they can come in and have a simple procedure that is between 10 and 20 minutes in duration. And we can have them see the benefits of a Sing IMT as well. So we're expanding our market in Europe to patients who have had previous cataract surgery. I'd like to do that eventually in the United States as well. So then we'd be able to access every patient globally with late stage AMD who has experienced significant vision loss from the disease. So that's where we're headed in the future. And so the question is, how do we fit? There's no other answer for these patients. So we complement all of the other technologies, whether that's the injections on the wet AMD patients. Eventually, if those patients lose vision, we're find solution for them as well. For patients who are using the American approved complement inhibitors to slow the progression of geographic atrophy, we exist at the end of their journey as well. So I think we fit nicely for AMD, where the doctor can say to the patient, through your lifestyle, first, we're going to try to get you to use ocular vitamins, manage your lifestyle correctly, eat the right foods,